This is Commitment Day 1, Changing Lives Character Curriculum. The quality that we're developing this week is commitment. Now, commitment is defined or determined. I don't know if it's a definition or a determination, by how you spend your time and how you spend your money. We talked about last week that these qualities were the ones that were in all 300 of the greatest leaders that have ever lived. Those guys that won the Revolutionary War. You ever think about those guys? The guys that signed the Declaration of Independence, when they put their name on there, they knew that if they didn't win the war, they were going to be hung as traitors. So each one of them, they wrote their names, but they knew that it was a commitment. It was not just saying, well, we'd like to win this war, or this would be good, and if we don't, we're going to do this or that. You know what? It was their lives they were committing to. And it's always interesting to me that John Hancock wrote his name so large, and when he asked why, he said, I want to make sure King George can read my name in case they decide to hang us. Well, the commitment is, are you willing to give all you've got? And that's what we're going to be talking about this week. But your determination, if you really want to see what you're committed to, look and see where you spend your time and where you spend your money. Where do you spend most of your time? On the cell phone? Well, that means you're committed to the cell phone. Video game? Then you're committed to the cell phone. Now, you can say anything you want to yourself, and you can kid yourself, and you can fantasize. But if you say, I'm committed to being a great football player, but I spend all my time watching video games and watching TV and on the cell phone, you're not committed. You haven't even come close. There is a great deal between compliance and commitment. Compliance is when you practice 2 hours a day. And you think, that's it. I'm going to practice every day. I don't ever miss a practice. I go and I work out 2 hours a day. That's compliance. That's not commitment. The compliant Christian is the Christian that goes to church on Sunday and maybe Sunday school and maybe even Wednesday. He's being compliant, but he's not committed. Committed means to give everything you've got. It's doing everything. It's really willing to give up your life to something that you've committed to. What are you committed to? And don't kid yourself. It's real simple to determine what you're committed to by how much time you spend with what you do. It's just like the goal setting that we talked about last week. You're going to set goals today. You're going to write down 3 things that you're going to do. And you're going to set aside the time that you need in order to do those. In other words, if you say, I'm committed to making my bed every morning. And I keep using that as an example because I heard the Navy SEAL that spoke at the University of Texas graduation say that was the most important thing that they did every day. A Navy SEAL. The most important thing that they did every day was make their bed, because when the day was over, if they'd done nothing else, they had accomplished something. And they did it right. See, that's committing to spending 15, 20 minutes a day to do something right. I'm going to make a 94 on English. We've got a test this Friday, and I'm going to make a 94. Not an 83, not a 72, but a 94. So I'm going to have to commit an hour on Monday, an hour on Tuesday, an hour on Wednesday, and a good night's sleep on Thursday to make that 94. Or whatever it takes, that's what I'm willing to do. Commitment means I'm going to do whatever it takes. The George Washingtons, the Robert Morrises, the people in the Revolutionary War, they committed their lives. Nelson Mandela they offered him a choice to leave prison if he just would shut up about apartheid and quit talking about discrimination in South Africa. He said, no, only a free man can negotiate. So he was willing to commit himself to staying in prison for the cause that he believed in. You think he was committed to it? Martin Luther King gave his life for equal rights for every human being. And there's no doubt he knew it. I mean, he had enough death threats and enough opportunities. That's what commitment is. It is finding something in your life that you're going to commit to. And how does it begin? It doesn't start out by just saying, I'm giving my life. You start by committing to making your bed every morning, to washing the dishes for your mom, for making a 92 on that English test, for learning your assignments, for doing your homework. You commit to doing it. And you take the time that it takes to do it every day. When you write the goals, and you're going to write down 3 goals today, and you write them down. And when you write those 3 goals down, then what you do is you determine that I'm going to commit to do it. That's what it gets down to. You make a plan. You make sure it's done. Now, if you look at the question number 1, says, what's the difference in complying and committing for an employee? Well, I'm doing in these lessons exactly what the teacher shouldn't do, which is you got to write the answer to the question, and then you tell me what you got. But in this case, we don't have that opportunity for you to tell me what you got. What's the difference between a commitment for an employee or a compliance? It's easy to say what compliance is. You show up at 8 and you get off at 5. Do what the boss tells you to. Commitment means that you do everything you can to make the Ford Motor Company the best company in the world, or Toyota, or General Electric, or the landscaping company, or whatever it is that you're working for. You work to make it the very best you can be. How about for a Christian? We've talked a little bit about that. You know, at FCA, I used to go to FCA conferences every summer, and at this one conference, this young minister got up and he said, let me ask you something. If your girlfriend said, I want to get married, and you loved her and she was beautiful and she was just what you've been looking for, and you said, yeah, buddy, let's do it. And she said, the only thing, I want a couple of conditions. She said, oh, and you said, okay, let's hear them. And she said, we can only be together on Sunday. And you can't tell anybody that we're married. What do you think? And you would say, you got to be kidding me. There's no way I would do that. Well, that's what a lot of Christians do. They go to church on Sunday, and they don't tell anybody about the gospel or the good news. So are they committed or are they compliant? They're compliant. You got to make a decision if you're going to commit to something, but don't kid yourself. You got to learn the quality and develop the quality of commitment. What about a son or a daughter? There's only one commandment in the 10 Commandments that has a promise that goes along with it. Honor your father and your mother so you may live a long life. In other words, if you honor your father and your mother, you'll live a long life. Are you committed to being the best son that you can be? Are you giving time with your parents? Are you honoring your parents in everything they ask you to do? Are you being the best daughter you can be? Are you committed to being a good son or being a good daughter? Now, the final question is an interesting one. It says, what's the difference in the commitment between a chicken and a pig as far as the breakfast? Well, a chicken is compliant. It lays an egg. What about a pig? If you're going to have bacon or sausage with those eggs, what's a pig got to do? A pig is committed. He has to give up his life for that breakfast. The difference between the chicken and the pig is the chicken's compliant. It lays the eggs. The pig is committed. When you write your goals, make sure that you're writing and setting down the time that you need to do it with. That's what a commitment is. To just write down a goal and say, I'm going to make my bed every morning. And then you don't take the time to write down, I'm going to get up at 6:45 in order that I have the time and commit the time and the effort to do it. It won't happen. Be the best you that you can be by making today a great day.